Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are joined today by Satisfaction producer Rafael Thomaseto. Satisfaction is playing at the Glasgow Film Festival, and as we're recording this, Rafael, I believe your second screening has just started, is that right?
Correct. I was there introducing it with Paul, and I ran over here just after the film had started.
Excellent. Thanks very much for taking the time to come and chat with us. We'll make sure you get back before the film ends so you can talk to folks after the movie. But yeah, let's talk about Satisfaction in general. You're a producer on the movie. Tell me about the movie in general, and then tell me about your role in the movie.
Okay, so to start with, this is a very independent film. It's really a labor of love for all of us. This is the debut feature of Alex Burunova. Alex is based in LA, but the film was entirely shot internationally, and we shot between Greece and the UK. So we shot part of it in London, part of it in Antiparos, which is an island in Greece, and Athens. We had crew truly from many countries. It was a co-production with Ukraine, so we brought crew out of Ukraine. We had costume designer, production designers from there. Our composer is Japanese but based in Berlin. Our sound designer is in Mexico. We did post-production in Italy, in France, in the US. I'm Brazilian, so it's truly quite a very diverse team in different nationalities. Our camera team is from Hungary, and obviously shooting in Greece, we had a very local team there. And when we were shooting in London, we also had a local team, and that made it truly special. And to also give a huge highlight to our casting, Emma Lard, who is Scottish-born, she is phenomenal in the film. This was her first leading role in a feature film, and it was truly special getting to work with her. And she had to put herself in many vulnerable situations.
Yeah.
So it was great to be there and experience. I can get emotional quite easily, so I had many moments that I would cry on set with the director. So it's a film that we go deep in many subjects. She plays, she's the co-lead with Fionn Whitehead. And it was truly fantastic to see Finn play Philip, which is not an easy role.
Yeah.
And he, I remember picking him up in the airport in Athens, and he had a huge, the script was kind of a big script with notes and all. He came prepared. And the third actor who leads the film, it's Zaramir Brahimi, who, also fantastic. We first got to know her with Holy Spider, which she won Best Actress in Cannes, and then she has played other titles as well. And we also had Adwa Abwa, which is a model, an actress, an activist.
Right.
She also has a podcast, Girl Talk, which is also really great. So I'm really happy with the team that we were able to bring together. And I guess to talk a little bit about what the film is and how we were able to get so many passionate people around it.
Yeah.
Alex, this is a very personal story to her. She spent many years crafting it from visuals. She was painting in watercolor, and a lot of those images turned out to actually be ideas for the shots. And obviously script wise, she since it was something so emotional to her and dealing with her own traumas and overcoming self-discovery and many other things, this was just a special project to her. The movie is about two British composers who go to an island in Greece to let's say fix their relationship. There's something off. They go there to run away, and Philip is writing an album. You see that Lola can't quite play anymore, and the film goes back and forth between their current time in Greece, but also a while back when they met in music conservatory school in London and fell in love, connected, and so on. And what really triggers us finding out more what happened and so on is when Lola, played by Emma, which is our lead, meets a magnetic woman in a nudist beach in the island, played by Zaramir Brahimi. And the encounter with this woman and bringing her into the fold of the relationship, we start finding out all the issues that this couple is holding.
Yeah.
So it's very much a psychological drama, and yeah.
So you're a producer on the movie.
Correct.
Now, producer is one of those roles that I think is probably the hardest one to really define, because as I understand it, it can vary from movie to movie and from person to person. What do you see the role of a producer as in general? And tell me about your experience as a producer on Satisfaction.
So Satisfaction, it was my first leading role as a producer in a feature film. And so obviously Alex and I had to be very close and had to go through many steps together. She's also a producer in the film, writer and director. And as a producer, you have to oversee everything. And when you're making an independent film, you kind of have to be around every single step of the way, from financing to casting to being the right-handed person to the director, giving creative notes, talking to everyone in the crew, making sure everyone is feeling safe, but also being the person that is on set, ensuring that things are flowing. And obviously we had two amazing line producers with us in Greece, but there was a lot of heavy lifting that was happening over there. I have a producing partner as well, Elena, which is also from Brazil, who was there, with us on set in Greece and all. And we had other, we had co-producers, executive producers, we had other producers.
Yeah.
And we obviously had a lot of people that needed to come together. I always say that making an indie film is a miracle. And it was, many people had come together, but as the lead producer of the film next to Alex, it was kind of constantly heavy lifting. And I think the key role is it's very much a chessboard, and you have to be constantly making sure you're making the right moves, but also you just have to be constantly aware. If you are not doing something, or as the producers, nothing really is going to happen.
So on that chessboard, which piece is the producer?
I would say the director and producers are very much the king and queen.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it can differ a little bit, and I think it's a gray area when you're talking about indie film as well, especially in this case where Alex was very much wearing her producer role hat, and obviously in production she wasn't as much. She had to focus. She had a lot going on, but in the whole process of putting it together, in the whole process of post, and with now, she's very much on hands-on with that, and I think that's quite common as well with debut features and all.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on Finn, when you picked Finn up from the airport, and he had, the script with lots of notes. I imagine that must put a smile on your face, knowing that an actor has gone to such levels of preparation on the project. From the producer's point of view, then, what's your relationship like with the actors? Do you see it is it the same for every movie and every actor, or do you have to tailor your relationship to each individual actor?
I think it depends a lot. In this case, because it was a movie that we were traveling, and we spent with with Emma and Fion were in Greece for at least 5-6 weeks, which means you were seeing them every day. Even if you're not shooting, you're still seeing them. And a lot of times you're seeing them for dinner. And in the island we shot it off season. So we had several hotels that we had to, it was all us. So you create more intimacy than you would perhaps if you're shooting in a big city and everyone's going home to their own places.
Yeah.
And you also have to be a little bit more aware of, do they need anything? They're in a foreign country. And I think maybe in bigger projects, this is different, because then you have the ecosystem is different and you have more people in the middle. Obviously, I'm still very much in contact with their agents and their teams, which can have to navigate a lot. But I had brought, I had the project, I had the phone call with Fion's agent a couple of months before the film. So I think there was that connection as well of wanting to make sure that, he was happy with the process. And because I mentioned earlier, it is not an easy role for the male lead. We
without going into spoilers. Yep.
yeah. I don't want to spoil it, but kind of that's what I have to say. And yeah.
Excellent. Let's talk about Emma.
Okay.
As you said, there's the Scottish connection there. Emma is a Scottish-born actress. It's her first lead role in a feature. People might recognise her from 28 Years Later and 20 Years Later, the Bone Temple. That came out, earlier this year and the year before. At what point did Emma come onto the project? Was that before or after your involvement as well? And what was it like finding the right actor for that part, which ended up obviously being Emma?
It was one of the most important key elements of making this movie, because she's in every single scene of the movie. And, finding her came through. So she had a role in The Brutalist.
Yeah.
And one of our producers, Kai Stroud, it's an EP in The Brutalist. So early 2023, when we were trying to find the right person for the role, he called the director one day and said, "Can you come over today and check out this actress? I have dailies. Obviously, I can't send out. This is confidential.
Okay.
But if you want to come and watch the dailies, you can." So Alex went to his house. And when you were watching dailies, you're really watching it's raw. You're watching, it's not anything edited, the best of the best. It's everything that the actor is giving. And in that moment, Alex was like, whew, she's really, really talented. And we were able to set up, a few days later, Emma had a trip to LA. She's based in London. And they had lunch. That lunch was supposed for them to connect. And then maybe we're going to ask for a tape. We're going to see what it is. As you know, the whole casting process can differ, of sending an offer or tapes or whatnot. And then after the 3-hour lunch they had, Alex called me and said, I offered her a role. We cried. We got, emotional together. I think in many films, especially this one, it was very important for Alex and Emma to feel comfortable with each other, to be vulnerable with each other. And we already knew she could deliver acting. And it was also quite special to be able to offer that, the space for her to really shine. And she's on to doing so many great things now. She just shot Mint, around here actually. Which premiered at Berlinale, and she's shooting the reason she's not here is she's shooting another movie now, which also she has a big role in it, and then another show with HBO. There's a lot of things she's doing, and I think it was really special to having her with us, and she gave it all of herself on set, so
let's talk about the post-production process.
Okay.
What's the producer's involvement like for that, and your involvement specifically with Satisfaction? Because we talked about pre-production and the actors and working with Alex as the writer, also producer, and then on set, throughout the filming in Greece and in London. Once you get past all that, what's your role in the post process?
I worked very closely with Alex. I think by being the lead producer, I think we had, when we got to post, there was already that connection where I wanted, and I know Alex appreciated a lot my creative involvement as well. So I spent time, every time we were close to locking something, I would go, and regardless where we were traveling to, and I would spend time with her on the editing room and watch the cuts. So I can't even tell you how many times I've watched the film and all. And
if you had to put a number on it, how many times do you think you've watched it?
At least 100.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It was from very like assembly cuts to then later on, and then now with festivals, screenings, and all, like I've that number came out of but I would say so. And we did post in many different countries. And the most amount of time was in Paris. And so, also I can't complain that we got to spend time editing in Paris. It was quite special.
Time,
yeah, and obviously we worked with amazing editors, and it was very special to also be able to be supportive and to be this second perhaps sometimes fresh eyes
Yeah.
to the film. We, as you know, as a producer, there's a lot of logistics that need to be conquered, and again, as an independent filmmaker, it's not that you have many arms to hold in that process, and but of course, all of the producers were, you know, watching cuts as well and giving notes, but I was kind of the one that was sitting more closely with her on the editing room and all of that.
Yeah. You had your premiere at South by Southwest, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Were you there?
I was not there due to, let's say, visa situations.
Oh, okay. But so from the premiere at South by Southwest and the screenings, the subsequent screenings through to playing here at the Glasgow Film Festival, if you were to pick one overriding memory about the experience from start to finish, what would you say that was?
The most memorable for me was São Paulo, because it's my hometown.
Of course.
And
Not
we
that you're
had
biased,
many sold out screenings, and it's, you know, when I lived for many years in California. That's where I started my career as a producer. But, you know, I have family, I have friends, and many people that per se hadn't really watched my work. I've done other features now, and I'm like, you know, I've been working in the business for over a decade. But a lot of people, I think, maybe if you don't work in the industry, you don't quite understand what a producer is, and
I think a lot of people in the industry still don't understand what a producer does as well.
no, exactly. And it was very special, you know, to get my mom to come watch it, and I think to, you know, she has seen how much work I've put into my work and how much passion I have, and that it was, you know, for me, my business partner, it was her first film showing in the São Paulo Film Festival, which is a great platform for indie art house films in Brazil, and that was quite special. Obviously, even by being far away, South by was, you know, a great place to premiere. And we have played in Spain, we've played in Greece, we've played in Poland, we played in Hungary. Like, we played in different countries. We have had different responses.
I wanted to talk to you about that then, because we talked about that briefly before we started rolling. Played in many different countries. How does the film? What's the response like from country to country? And was there anything surprising about that from your point of view?
Yes and no. In a way, we knew making this film that it's not an easy watch, and that we always expected that we would get divisive. You know, people react differently. You know, a younger crowd or an older crowd, a more conservative crowd, a more open-minded crowd. So there has been experiences in certain places that people weren't as open to think and analyze. And this is, you know, I would say, in other words, the film, it is a feminist film in many capacities. The film existing is resistance as an independent filmmaker, as a female debut feature, you know, all of those things already. It's resistance and many topics that we're exploring in the film that I don't want to spoil, but it is very much about, you know, agency and self-discovery, and I think can trigger many people. I was surprised actually that people reacted so positively in Brazil, and
why?
I think it's really interesting that even though, you know, when you think about Brazil, maybe people only think about carnival and people are half nude and they're in the beach and whatnot, but we're still a very religious country, and we're still very conservative in many ways, and we have been in the past couple of years still navigating the extreme where, well, many countries in the world are right now, with, you know, the right and the left and kind of all of that. But even the way my mom reacted to it, I think I was preparing her so much. You know?
Yes, not the usual film. Not the usual film you would watch with your mom. You know. No. So, but you know, it was great, and I must say, last night it was a really special screening here in Glasgow. I was having a conversation with Paul a few days before, and Paul said,
when I watched it, I knew that we had to play the film here, and
This is Paul from the GFT from the film
yes,
festival,
yes,
yeah.
correct. And he said, after we watched it, we knew we had to play the film here, and I had been to Scotland before, but in holidays, and didn't come to Glasgow, and I went to see the whiskies,
welcome to Glasgow.
and thank you, and what an experience! So much great industry days, connecting to great players, so many great films. I've really, really had one of the best experiences in a festival here so far. And, the audience was a bit quiet watching the film, so I was very tense. And then when we finished, we had a lot of applauses and so many people coming to me and to Elena, which is a Ukrainian producer who was here as well for a few days. Some people were shaking, some people were crying, some people they didn't have questions. They just wanted to tell me how they were feeling and express themselves. I think I had made a long introduction in the beginning, so they had put a face into the film, and it was very, very, very special. Very special.
You mentioned there, you'd give a long introduction, so you were the face of the film. Do you see that as the role of the producer to a certain degree as well? Are you the face of the film?
Director? Right. I would say the writer, director, and the leads. First of all, those are the faces, and I think, at the end of the day, this is the director's baby, and this is, she has put everything of herself and every part of her body into making this. But obviously, as a producer, I've put so much sweat and have been in this journey with her for many, many years. So I also feel very comfortable to be the face of the film when it's needed. And after here, we're playing BFI Flair and Manchester.
Oh, that's just in like next week or what?
Yeah. So our screening in BFI Flair is March 22nd and March 23rd at the BFI SoftBank, and then we're playing Manchester March 23rd. Right. So we're having a really great and really cool UK
mini tour
run. Yeah. But we had to divide and conquer, because we, after all, we're, I'm saying indie, but we're indie filmmakers, so we have to be very smart also what we're putting in energy and so on. And we divided and conquered, and Alex will be at BFI in Manchester representing the film, and I was came from far away, but very happy to be here kind of representing as well. Right. And I think because as a producer, I've been through the whole process along the way that a lot of times I can answer questions. I don't feel comfortable answering personal questions since this is a film that something that come to the writer director. But outside of that, I feel very comfortable talking about it and so on.
As a producer, I'm curious to get your take on this then. A topic that I like to talk a lot about is physical media.
Yeah.
Big physical media fan. DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4K discs now, obviously, and VHS when I was a kid. That's probably before your time, I would imagine. But I'm curious, so theatrical, streaming, physical media. That's three distinct modes of distribution, of exhibition. Where do you see the future of those three modes going for movies in general?
I guess this is a topic that we can spend many hours discussing it. I have a couple of thoughts. I think, obviously, to start with, this kind of films are, films that we need platforms like festivals to really elevate and to get the word out there. We need word of mouth. We need people to come watch and, then write in the letterbox, who now has become a really important, platform for cinema in general, in IMDb and so on. I do truly hope that the way that we now, a few years ago, we started reconnecting with vinyls for music, and now we're seeing, so many people finding back their old iPods and finding back this and that. Like, I still have tons and tons of DVDs, or thinking back on what used to be the weekend activity to go to Blockbuster and find the movie we're going to watch. I'm saying all of this because I think there is something special about the experience. And I was reading many articles, and that's data in Brazil. I don't know what's outside of it. It might be similar, that so much of the Generation Z, there is a growth of desire of going to the cinemas than it was years ago, or even as a millennial myself, what, throughout the years, when we were in the early 2000s, what it was going to a movie theater, and then in the past 20 years, how much that has shifted. But then with the access of so much technology and just having that moment, like seeking community, being in a room and just experiencing that either is by laughing, by crying, by feeling scared, like what it is that gives you. So I do think that, I don't believe cinema is dead. It's different than it was before, so we have to be changing how it is. Streaming wise, I guess we're still trying as an ecosystem and as an industry to really find out what it is and how it plays around, and with all these mergers happening, it's also complex. It's, there's so much change around, and obviously you have so much content right now because you can get your phone and shoot a film. And that doesn't mean that it's less good or less. Yeah. It's you can. I think my core as a filmmaker and why I started making films was very much to be able to be supportive with voices and minority communities that perhaps weren't quite having the visibility before. And growing up in the countryside of Brazil as a gay man, I didn't quite have that representation a lot. And I think what it benefit from streaming is that you have the access of a lot of things out there. So there's pros and cons, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a one straight line. I try kind of analyzing many things, but I feel like could be kind of the future of it all or not. We are right now talking to distributors in many different countries for satisfaction, and the goal is that we will have a limited theatrical release. And really build. I think one of the most important things in the moment for cinema is building your audience. Yes. Building your community, and really finding who are those people. And playing in festivals really helps you because it gets you to understand the ones that really really go for it, or the ones that don't resonate with the film. And Alex just from the beginning of making this film should say, my dream is that 1 million young women would see this film. Right. And I hope that more, not only young women, I hope that people in general get to see this film, and it's okay. Some people might not like it, some people might like it, but it's just art. It's subjective. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And every movie is a piece of art, and every piece of art is subjective. Yeah. You mentioned your stack of DVDs. Do you remember what your first one was, or is there any particular ones that stick in your mind? So, I would say that I think overall French cinema was a lot what I had, and there was these boxes that I would buy in Brazil that were French cinemas from the 50s and 60s, and that was something that really it was opened my eyes to what cinema really was. And I obviously I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so I had all the DVDs and all the books and all of that. I was growing up as I was reading those books and all, and I think there was as I was becoming a little bit older, I started figuring out what was the queer cinema in Germany, like in decades before, and that was eye-opening to me as well. You said, not to get too personal, but you mentioned earlier on about not feeling you'd seen yourself represented in cinema. Those early German movies, is that when you started to feel represented? Yeah. And it was funny enough that 2005, I bought the DVD of Brokeback Mountain. Yeah. And that DVD stayed hidden in my closet. Oh, wow. and right now, obviously, I'm married, and I'm very comfortable with that and my family and all. But that was one that was hidden, and I remember buying it and finding cash to go, and that was a very, very special movie. Yeah. And also coming from the countryside and all of that. I think right now it's a bit maybe outdated a little bit of depending on how with representation, a little bit of how it shows exchanges, but it's still a brilliant movie, and I still rewatch it. It's a beautiful movie. I think that the score for that as well is just
is beautiful. I love the soundtrack, the score for that as well, and the scene where he tugs the shirt just breaks me every time.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful movie.
But talking about the difference of streaming as well, I have Call Me by Your Name on my on my iTunes.
Right.
So it is something that whenever if I'm on a plane, it's downloaded. I can just watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against streaming, even though I'm very pro physical media. I still have all the streaming services. You know, my bank balance is, you know, not happy about that, but I still have and enjoy all the streaming services. Like you said, the convenience of having your favorite movies on your phone when you're on a plane. You know, you can't take a DVD player on a plane. You know, I mean, well, they did make portable ones, but they didn't really last that long. So I think there's a place for both streaming and physical media. I just hope, I want it to be more of a cohesive partnership as opposed to a versus scenario when it comes to, you know, streaming and physical media, or even streaming and theatrical. I mean, 10 years ago, the discussion wasn't about streaming versus theatrical, whereas now, like you said, especially with the mergers and whatnot, the discussion has kind of like went towards streaming is now, as well as being an alternative or a combatant against physical media, it's now a potential alternative to theatrical releases. Like, you know, they were talking about, like, when, I mean, the news changes every day with the Warner Brothers situation, but, you know, they were talking about a 17-day theatrical window, and then it's going to be on streaming. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that would be like a nail in the coffin for cinema release, and the only movies that are going to do well are your big budget tentpole movies. Not that I don't like them, I love them. I have tattoos of those movies, you know. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. What I was talking about, but yeah,
I think it's overall even physical and filmmaking. And then I guess to finish that topic too, one of my favorite filmmakers is Pedro Almodóvar, and he was also someone that early on, if you watch his films from late 80s, 90s, he was still exploring queerness. Yeah. Very out there. Yeah. From within that time. And definitely I still have his DVDs, and I do hope that I guess they were classics when I bought them, and I guess they would be
they're almost like
precious.
They're almost like vintage retro items now.
Yeah.
Even though they're not that old.
Yeah. Correct.
Rafael, I think we're almost out of time. Let's bring it to a close. Let's take it back to Satisfaction.
Yep.
As we're recording this, your second screening is happening right now, just up the road at the GFT. What's the one thing you want audiences to take away from Satisfaction?
I think what's important is that people understand that we all go through hard times in our lives, and we all go through different types of traumas and all. And it's also quite important to be nice to ourselves. And sometimes we will lose ourselves, and we will need, you know, we'll have to go through a lot of pain to find ourselves again. And but you know, nothing's really black and white besides colors, you know, right? But it's, you know, it's very, a lot of things are in a gray area. And I hope that people come out and they maybe think about, you know, when I hope you get a chance to watch, and then this conversation would be, you know, we can happy to have other conversations with you in the future.
We can do a spoiler special discussion after.
Yeah. But I want people to just reflect, truly just reflect. And it's, besides of its topic, it's a film that has a beautiful score, has a great music from UK musicians as well. You know, it's beautiful to watch. A great performance. So I think it will move you emotionally, and will make you think and reflect. And I think we're in a moment that we need to be kind to others and to ourselves as well.
Which seems like such an obvious thing to say, but an important thing to say.
Yeah.
Rafael, thank you very much for coming in to chat with us. Thanks very much. Congratulations again on the movie. Please pass on my congrats to everyone involved as well. That's us, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you in the next video.